To be with you tonight, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to introduce our second guest speaker, Mr. Dale Reppert. Mr. Reppert is an alumni of Kutztown Area High School and furthered his education at Kutztown University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in business and finance. He was a senior vice president at Morgan Stanley for 25 years. He was the co-host of Insights to Investing, a TV show he was proud to be a part of for 2 years. Mr. Reppert founded the Kutztown Self-Storage and later co-founded the Etcheberry Experience, a sports training company. He was also a member of the Kutztown Area School District Board of Directors for 10 years. His life led to new detours as he experienced something unimaginable. He underwent brain surgery and contracted a deadly form of bacterial meningitis, which spiraled him into septic shock. Due to his disability and miraculous recovery, he is the author of the book, Detour to Heaven, One Man's True Journey. He has shared his story as a motivational and inspirational speaker. He has been married to Luann Reppert for 37 years, with 3 children, and soon they both will have 5 grandchildren. His love of tennis has been at the forefront of his life, as he is the volunteer head coach of the tennis programs here at Kutztown. I had the honor of meeting with him, and I have been blessed to connect with him in similar ways. We all understand that life can throw you curveballs, but what you make of it is most important. We are all in for a treat tonight. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Mr. Dale Reppert.
Good evening, everyone. I just had a shoulder replacement, and I heard Julie talk about the 3D body part business. I thought, gee whiz, I have to get the other one replaced, and I have to look up that machine. Thank you for having me here this evening, class of 2018. When they asked me a few months ago if I'd speak this evening, I graciously said yes, and proceeded to put together all my words of wisdom that I could come up with and all my knowledge. And I molded it and I folded it in and out in every which way, and I came up with the most beautiful 4.5-hour presentation you'd ever want to hear. Then Mr. Schumacher and the classmates met with me and they said, Dale, you got about 8 or 9 minutes. So here we go, class. I sat in this auditorium, I'm going to beat Julie, I sat here 43 years ago. And I also had the privilege of giving my diplomas here to 2 of my 3 children when I was on the school board. And I have to say this, that all of you here this evening, students, you will not remember my name. I can't remember who the commencement speaker was at my commencement. But I can tell you this, that all of us that have attended Kutztown Area School District and have graduated from this school have led healthy lives because we've had a great start because of this school district. And that we will always have in common, always. So, let me start by asking this. How many of you in the past 12 years have had everything go perfectly right? Can I see a hand? No. It never does it? You've encountered detours along the way. And as Nikki was so kind to say, I've had a few in my own life. But yet, everything that you've gone through, and we're going to touch on 1 or 2 detours that I know about of your class, everything that you've had happen to you these past 12 years have brought you to this moment tonight. Your path brought you here. And for that, I say, job well done. Job well done, all of you. Now, let me say that I'd like to share with you 2 detours that I've had in my life. I've had many detours, as all of us in this audience have had. Some affect us more severely than others. Some are voluntary, some are involuntary. Some call them adversity, I call them detours. My first detour was I used to sit down there in the pit. I played the saxophone, I played a lot of sports, but I had made the decision when I left here that I was going to major in music. I thought, I love playing this, to toot my own horn, pardon the pun. I played the saxophone pretty well. So I thought to myself, I might as well do that for a living. I get to school, I get to college, and I recognize that I enjoyed music as a part-time activity. I used it for leisure, I used it to relax. And when they were drilling me every class to learn piano, to learn violin, and do all these things, It took the fun out of it for me. So I changed my major. And you don't think that's a detour? It is. It kept me on my life path, took me to the side, brought me back again. It kept me on my life path, but I switched to a business and a finance major. My second love was always finance. I liked money. I wanted to be a banker. So I changed my major. My parents at the time weren't very happy with me because I thought they should use my music talent, but I changed it. So what happened from that point forward, from going from music to business, was it put me on a path that led me to be one of the youngest brokers they had ever hired in the United States at the time. I was 22 years old after I graduated, ready to start my master's program at Lehigh University, and I was offered a job by Dean Witter. Dean Witter said, "We like you, we want you." My professors at Lehigh said, "You're crazy. You go with them and you go train with them in New York for a year. It's more than you'll ever get from your master's degree." Here was a detour. So I worked as hard as I could. I set goals for myself. I dedicated myself to my profession. I ended up reaching the rank of a senior vice president. I managed $250 million. I co-hosted a television show, and I spoke for the firm up and down the East Coast. I would go in and talk to corporations about what to do with their money, to their executives when they retire, and all those types of things. And then I had a second detour that hit my life. And the second detour was, I had at the time what I thought was minor brain surgery. But that minor brain surgery ended up turning into Staphylococcus aureus bacterial meningitis, one of the most deadly types of meningitis you can have. And it nearly killed me, should have killed me. A number of doctors told me I shouldn't be here. It left me with numerous disabilities, one of which I have in my brain, which probably has shortened my life significantly. But I learned from that many different things. That was the second detour in my life, which was major. It took me to a place where I hit a roadblock. The roadblock was such that I had to turn left or right. I had no choice. It wasn't a detour that took me off and put me back on the path. It was a detour that took me in an entirely different direction, forever, never to go back to that. I could not return to my job as a senior vice president of that firm. And at the time, I was in my mid-40s. I was at the peak of my career. I had the world in front of me, I thought. And my life consisted principally of 90% work, 10% family and faith. I worked all the time. So what happened after that was I had to make a choice. And the choice was this. It was optimism or pessimism. And I chose optimism. I chose to live my life and move forward. And I stand to you today as an author and a speaker, totally different from what I wanted to do in my occupation as a financial senior vice president. Couldn't do it any longer. But my life is more filling today than it ever was. And I have to say that that detour, that second one in my life, ended up giving me a more balanced life. Let's go back now to your class, if we may, for a moment. Why would I talk about detours? Many of you have had many detours your 12 years in school. Many of you in the audience have had detours in your lives, and we've overcome them. But I know of two in particular, and one was of the young lady who introduced me. Someone in your class I had the pleasure to meet this past week, and her and I connected on a very deep basis because we shared something in common, near-death experiences. And the insight she had into life was just phenomenal to me. It was incredible. I call it optimism. She calls it positivity. And she said something to me which I will never forget, and the statement sticks with me all the time. She said, "Positivity is the best medicine." And I couldn't agree with her more. It took me back that someone of her age would have such insight into life already. But I go back to your class and I say, okay, this was a person who had that detour, could have taken her in a whole different direction. She fought hard, she had perseverance, and she sits here this evening. The second detour from your class, many of you may not know about. It's a young lady that I've known for many years. And her mother, a few years ago, contracted an extremely aggressive type of Alzheimer's that in a very short period of time took her memory, and she is now institutionalized. This young student has led these last few years without the confidence and the attachment to her mother. And I can't imagine the courage that that's taken as well. Could have gave up, could have became pessimistic, but was so optimistic and remains so to this day. And many times I think about her, and I think about both these kids that I know now, and it's a detour that took them away from their life path temporarily, but brought them back. And I'm proud of your entire class for all the detours that you've taken, that you've ended up here this evening. So, let me touch and let me sort of close out by saying that I'd like to leave you with 4 words or 4 things of wisdom, if I could. The 4.5-hour presentation had about 400, but we'll stick with these 4. First is this. First is, I'd like you to take the next 10 years of your life and work as hard as you can at whatever you're going to do. Because the next 10 years of your life will build for you the foundation from which you will support the rest of your life. If you want to build your foundation at age 40 or 50, it's too late. You have to do it now. And I have found that there is no substitute in this world whatsoever than hard work. Walt Disney was asked what was the success to what he did, and he said very simply the success was due to hard work. Nothing less, nothing more. Second thing, time. Time is the most precious commodity that we have. I know that better than no one. When I got my meningitis and I got so ill, my life changed to a very large extent. My profession was taken away from me, but what was given to me was time. I had more time. I used to go in the office at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd go home at 10 o'clock at night, every day, for year after year after year, because my job was building wealth for clients and for myself as well. But then when I got ill and wasn't able to go back to that profession, I learned that time is the most valuable commodity we have, that memories and experiences mean more than financial wealth, that my faith meant more than financial wealth. And I led a more balanced life from there on. But time is not something that you can take for granted. You don't squander it, you do anything with it. And as you go through each day in life, I have a strong belief that bad things happen on good days. I never assume I have a bad day. I take every day that comes and take something good from it. It might be the smallest thing. You may have had the worst day in the world, seniors. It might have been the worst day. You failed every test, or you wouldn't be here tonight if you did. But it might have been the worst day you've ever had. But take something good from it. Go to bed at night saying, I had a cup of cocoa before I went to sleep, or whatever it is. Take something good from every single day. And the third thing, this is the thing that I missed for much of my life until I had the meningitis and learned differently, and that is to lead a balanced life. Even these next 10 years that I ask all of you to work so extremely hard, and you have to work hard, there's nothing wrong with hard work, live a balanced life. Enjoy life. Sit back and relax occasionally. I'm not saying take the lemonade and sit all week long on the porch yet, you're not old enough. But when you get to that point, you want to be able to sit back and enjoy your life. Of all people, Dolly Parton, the country western singer, said, don't get too busy making a living that you forget to make a life. And that is so true. So many folks are so busy making a living they forget to live. So don't do that. And my fourth thing, bringing us back to the beginning more or less, are the detours, the challenges that will present themselves to you over the next number of years throughout your life. It's how do you handle them? Well, I think you handle them with, and some of you have already done this, with courage, determination, and optimism, or as some would say, positivity. I believe, class of 2018, that you can accomplish anything you set your minds to through hard work and determination. And I believe that you can overcome any detour that you may encounter in life. So I would ask for you that you stay humble with your success. I would ask that you have courage with your defeats and your detours. And I would hope and I would wish for all of you that you would experience the best that life has to offer. I thank you for allowing me to speak tonight on your behalf, and I give you congratulations, and God bless you all.